So this is the table of sequence and its Z transforms. So given sequence is delta n means Z transform is 1. This is standard, right? We have already calculated. Now if you have one given and you are asked to find out what is the sequence, then it will be delta 1. If at all this sequence is 5, then it is 5 into delta n. Okay. If at all the sequence is say z to the power minus 1, then you have to write delta of n minus 1. Okay, so this is about the inverse Z transform. Already we know what are the standard Z transforms. From that we can find out inverse of that, that is the given sequence. ನಮಗೆ ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ x of n ಕೊಟ್ರೆ Z transform ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಇವಾಗೇನು Z transform will be given, you have to find out what was the sequence. Okay, so that is here. Now first one you have already understood, it is delta n andre 1 idre this is forward Z transform, reverse inverse Z transform. Similarly we can have u of n. U of n Z transform ಏನು ಬರುತ್ತೆ 1 divided by 1 minus Z inverse. ಇದನ್ನೇ ನಾವು Z divided by Z minus 1 ಅಂತ ಬರೀಬಹುದು. ಎರಡೂ ಸೇಮ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್. Okay, remember it. Now if this is given, if you are asked to find out what is inverse Z transform of this is 1 into u of n. Okay, 1 into u of n. If at all it is 2 here, 1 divided by 1 minus 2 Z inverse, then you have to write 2 to the power n into u of n. Okay, same is next example we have that. So these are the standard Z transforms we have already calculated. Okay, now you can see minus u minus of n minus 1. For this also Z transform is same, but ROC is different. Here ROC is Z inverse less than 1 or Z is greater than 1. For this one ROC is Z less than 1. We have already calculated this. Don't worry about why both are same but ROC is different. Here we have taken minus Z as common. After that we have simplified to get the similar kind of answer here. Okay, that's why ROC is different but the final answer is same. Okay, and also you need to remember that here you have minus, then you will get minus here. Okay, if at all if you had a plus here, you would have got a plus, sorry, you have minus here, that's why you are getting plus here, plus 1 divided by this one. If at all you had a plus, then you would have written minus 1 divided by 1 minus Z inverse. Okay, let me write that so that it will be clear to you. U of minus n minus 1 ಇದ್ದಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಂತ ಬರ್ತದೆ Z transform minus 1 divided by 1 minus Z inverse. Okay, so ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈನಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈನಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. And this is same, ROC is Z less than 1. So if you remember these formulas, any inverse Z transform you can apply. Now as I have told you, delta of n minus k, Z transform is Z to the power minus k. If you have Z to the power minus k, you can write inverse Z transform as delta power n minus k. For example, k is equal to 2, so I will write Z to the power minus 2. So delta of n minus 2 is the inverse Z transform. Correct alva? z to the power minus 2. If I say z to the power plus 2, sorry, that is plus 2 means minus 2. If I say minus of minus 2 will be plus 2, so it will be delta of, say, I would suggest k is equal to minus 2. Z to the power minus of minus 2 is z square. Here k I will substitute as minus 2, delta of n minus minus 2. Okay, so it is delta of n plus 2. So likewise we can get inverse Z transform based on these equations. These what you can say, Z transform pairs. Okay, and I will not go for explanation of the ROC because already we have calculated for this kind of signal all Z except 0 if k is greater than 0, except infinity if k less than 0. Andre Z to the power 0 1 2 3 ಅಂತ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅವಾಗ we should not have that value. Okay, if k is greater than 0, z cannot take 0 as the answer. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಮೈನಸ್ ಪವರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, 1 divided by 0 ಇನ್ಫಿನಿಟಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ. Then we have an u of n ಅಂದ್ರೆ multiplication by an exponential alpha to the power n. So it will become, ಆಗಲೇ ಏನಿತ್ತು u of n ಇದ್ದಾಗ 1 divided by 1 minus z inverse ಇತ್ತು, ಇವಾಗ 1 divided by 1 minus alpha into z inverse. This alpha could be 2, 3, 4, or you can say it is a, b, any value, or 1 by 2, 1 by 3, ಏನಾದರೂ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಲ್ವಾ? If you are given with say 1 divided by 1 minus 1 by 3 z inverse, for this what is the inverse Z transform? It is 1 by 3 to the power n into u of n, because this is a standard pair. Are you able to understand this? Please let me know, because based on this only we are going to solve problems. And as I have told, this is the Z transform of, okay, this value is Z transform of a to the power n u of n provided z is greater than alpha. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ, for this ROC you find what is inverse Z transform. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ROC ಈ ರೀತಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ this will be your inverse Z transform. If the same equation is given and z is less than alpha, it is left sided sequence. Left sided sequence ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, instead of this minus alpha power n u of minus n minus 1. Okay, it is not minus alpha power minus n ಅಲ್ಲ, only n only, but wherever here it was plus, here it will become minus. This also minus n minus 1. Okay, you have to look at the ROC. So ನಿಮ್ಗೆ Z transform ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಸಲ ಏನಂತ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, for the given x of z you have to find out x of n provided that ROC is this one. If the same x of z ROC is given like this, it means that it is a left sided sequence, otherwise it is a right sided sequence. Sometimes ROC will be given like 1 by 2 to 1. That means you have both left sided as well as right sided sequence. Is that clear? How to find out inverse Z transform? If you remember these equations, you can find any inverse Z transform, because you just need to replace these alpha, or you can say the value of A, B, C, like that. Okay. Similarly, when we have already we know this property, what is the n property? Multiplication by n, it is differentiation. That means this signal is already there. For this, if you multiply with n, it is nothing but in z transform, it is minus z d by dz. ಅಂದ್ರೆ x of z ನ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಶಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮೈನಸ್ z ಇಂದ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ that is the z transform of this multiplication of n with alpha n u of n. Similarly, z transform of n into u of n ಮಾತ್ರನೂ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. n into u of n ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? You are differentiating 1 divided by 1 minus z inverse with respect to z multiplied by minus z. Okay, likewise ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಸೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಸ್ಗೆ ಸೇಮ್ ರೂಲ್ನ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಶಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ಸ್, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲಿ. ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ n ಇಂಟು a to the power n u of n ಇದ್ರೆ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ alpha power z minus z inverse divided by 1 minus alpha z inverse whole square. So this is the trick here. So ಇದನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ inverse z transform you can write like this, and provided z is greater than alpha. ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, z is greater than alpha, beta or 1 2 3 4 means it is right sided sequence, or you are going to multiply it by u of n. You can see here. Similarly, for the same sequence, yes, what is the problem? Similarly, for a left sided sequence also there is a differentiation, multiplication by ramp n. For this you can have the same answer, but z transform is having a ROC, z is lesser than alpha. Then if this is x of z and you are asked to find out what is x of n, then you have to look at ROC, whether it is ROC is given as greater than alpha or less than alpha. If it is given greater than alpha, you have to write this as inverse z transform. If it is less than alpha, then you have to write this as inverse z transform. So I strictly prefer you, all of you, to by heart these equations. Wherever alpha is there, there you might get 1 by 2 minus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2. You just substitute and simplify it. Okay, so it will be very good for your second half of this module. Now last few sequences we have already solved for this one as well as for this one. Sin omega naught n, this is the z transform. If somewhere this is given to you as x of z and you are asked to find out what is the inverse, you can directly write this one. Okay, then we have this one, it is for sine. You can see here itself cos omega naught anta ide, so cos omega naught n ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನೀವು ಏನು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿದೇನೋ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಇಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾತ್ರ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. Similarly, sine signal, for both of these z is greater than 1. Okay, if at all these sequences are multiplied by alpha to the power n, then wherever you have the sequence, like instead of 1 you have cos omega naught, so it is multiplied by alpha into cos omega naught z inverse. Here 2 into alpha, here alpha square, so you will get the value of alpha in the z transform as well. Okay, similarly for sin omega naught n u of n, we are going to get the same alpha. Okay, here and here. So this is the only transformation, and ROC is z greater than alpha, z greater than alpha. Here u of n minus 1, it is not existing for these sequences. We don't have that. Okay, now properties also we need to understand. So if this is given, directly you can write this as your inverse Z transform. So first go by the definitions. Linearity property, this is the sequence, this is the Z transform. Time shifting is nothing but multiplication by Z to the power minus n naught. If it is plus, then we have to multiply it by Z to the power plus n naught. Then multiplication by a to the power n is nothing but Z divided by alpha. Time reversal. If x of minus n is given, then z is replaced by, wherever z is there, we have to replace it by 1 by z. Time expansion. If x of kn is given, this property we have not discussed, but if x kn is given, then xz to the power k will be our result. So this one we are not dealing with. Convolution property is very important. So x of n into x of n convolution y of n is given, and you are asked to find out, say, some other value z of n, that is convolution. Let me take another value. Instead of y of n, we have to consider, say, find, we have already calculated y of n, x of n convolution h of n is given. Then it is, we are not going to perform convolution. Instead, we will find out the z transform of x of n, find out the z transform of h of n, and we multiply both. When we multiply both, we will get y of z. After getting y of z, we will take inverse z transform to get y of n. Okay, so that is the convolution property. Differentiation property, as I already explained many a times in every other problem, wherever based on properties we have solved the problems, n into x of n is replaced by, that is, you have to find out x of z for this x of n. After that, you have to substitute that x of z in this equation. Okay, then initial value theorem and final value theorem. So initial value theorem is to find out the starting point of an sequence, where it starts, what was the initial condition. Final value of the theorem states about what is the final condition of the sequence, what value it will take at the end. Okay, is that clear? As I already told, this is the x of n equation. Andre x of z ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಿಮಗೆ x of n find out ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಈ equation ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. It is a tedious process. That's why we use the standard z transform pairs to find out the inverse z transform, as well as we use partial fractions and long division methods. Now you can see the very first problem here. Determine inverse z transformation of x of z equal to 2 plus z inverse divided by 1 minus 1 by 2 z inverse. X of z is equal to 2 plus z inverse 1 minus 1 by 2 z inverse. So from now onwards, we need to find out x of z is given, x of n we need to find out. So what is the ROC given? ROC is z greater than 1 by 2. That means it is a right sided sequence. Okay, from this only we are able to understand. ROC z is greater than 1 by 2. Okay, so this problem we can apply partial fractions and solve, but in the question itself it is given as using long division method. So using long division method, already I hope you all learnt this, but for solving this problem we are going to take that long division method, where you have numerator and denominator. So denominator will go into the brackets, right? So what do we have to do? 2 plus z inverse, and 1 minus 1 by 2 z inverse will be here. So you can interchange, you can take common z common and then you can do the calculation, or you write it as like z inverse plus 2, and here it is minus 1 by 2 z inverse plus 1. Both will yield same result. Okay, so now 1 minus 1 by 2 z inverse. To get this 2, what we have to do? We have to multiply this equation with 2. So what we'll get? 2 minus 2 by 2 z inverse. So we'll subtract these two values, minus here plus here. So this will cancel out, whereas this one is 2 by 2 is 1, z inverse plus z inverse is 2 z inverse. Okay, now to cancel out this again, 1 into, what we have to do? 1 into 2 z inverse. So I will write as 2 z inverse, but because of this minus 1 by 2 into 2 z inverse is minus z to the power minus 2. Now this is minus, this is plus, this cancels out and we get z to the power minus 2. So here I have to multiply z to the power minus 2. So z to the power minus 2 minus of 1 by 2 minus of 1 by 2 z to the power minus 3. This is what I will get. Now again minus plus, so this is 1 by 2 z to the power minus 3. Sorry. So what I will get here is plus 1 by 2 to the power z to the power minus 3. So 1 by 2 z to the power minus 3 minus 1 by 2 into 1 by 2, 1 by 4 z to the power minus 4. 1 by 4 z to the power minus 4. So this is minus and this is plus. Now the answer is 1 by 4 z to the power minus 4. Now it will go on like this, plus 1 by 4 z to the power minus 4. Okay, so if I multiply this, what I will get? One by 4 z to the power minus 4 minus 1 by 2 into plus 1 by 4, 1 by 8 z to the power minus 5. So this will cancel out, whereas we get here 1 by 8 z to the power minus 5. So again we will get here like 1 by 8 z to the power minus 5 plus 1 by 16 z to the power minus 6, plus it will go on like this. So this is our simplified sequence. Okay, simplified sequence after long division method. So what we get here is x of z is equal to, the simplified version of it is 2 plus 2z inverse. Let me write it over here. X of z is equal to 2 plus 2z inverse plus 1 by 2, sorry, is z inverse square plus 1 by 2z to the power minus 3 plus 1 by 4z to the power minus 4 plus 1 by 8z to the power minus 5, likewise. Okay, so to find out x of n, we can easily apply inverse z transform for this using inverse z transforms. X of n is equal to 2 into delta n. We know that 1 anta idre, sorry, delta n idre z transform 1 anta irutte. So x of z is 1 given, then x of n is delta n. Now it is 2 means 2 into delta n. Now this is 2 into z inverse. How we can write? 2 into delta of n minus 1 plus z inverse square delta of n minus 2 plus 1 by 2 into delta of n minus 3 plus 1 by 4 into delta of n minus 4. So it is an infinite series which goes like this. Okay, and in the sequence form, how we can write? 2 comma 2 comma 1 comma 1 by 4, 1 by 8, 1 by 16 up to infinity, and this is the origin. So either you can write in this form or in this form. This is the inverse z transform, and this problem is the simplest one. So you can see here, this is the problem which we have solved now. Okay, did I write 2 to 1? Yes, it is correct. Is that clear? Power series expansion problems I will take later. Okay, there is only one problem given. So this problem e to the power, it is in the form of e to the power x. Okay, so this problem will solve later. Long division method I wanted you to solve. So this is the problem. Is that understood? Anyone, can you reply? So again I am repeating, go through these two tables. These two tables are very important for this module. Complete table ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಈ ಎರಡು tables, ಒಂದು properties, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು standard z transform pairs. So I was talking about this problem. Expansion ಅಲ್ಲಿ e to the power x idre, this is the summation equation. So wherever x is there we replace with z to the power 2. Okay, so that will give us the answer. So this one will solve later. Now we'll directly go to the important part of our inverse z transform. Okay, so question is, determine inverse z transform of x of z for first ROC z greater than 1, ROC z less than 0.5 and ROC 0.5 to 1. Second problem. X of z is given. X of z, that is capital X z, is equal to 1 divided by 1 minus 1.5 z inverse plus 0.5 z inverse square. 1 divided by 1 minus 1.5 z inverse plus 0.5 z inverse square. So this is x of z given. For this, we need to find out what is x of n for three conditions. The three conditions are ROC of the x of n should be z greater than 1, z less than 0.5, z greater than 1. This is the first sequence we need to find out. ROC z less than 0.5, and the third one is ROC z greater than 1 but less than 0.5. So this is a, we need to find out a right sided sequence. All the terms should be right sided. Here all the terms should be left sided. Here one term is right sided, another term is left sided. Based on this, we need to find out three sequences for the same x of z. Is that clear? Now consider first x of z. X of z, we need to convert this into a form. Say ಈ ರೀತಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ. ಇದು ಯಾವುದು ಕ್ವಾಡ್ರಾಟಿಕ್ ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? That is what you say, ax square plus bx plus c. This is the form here. Z inverse, z inverse square, z inverse and constant. So this form is there. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದನ್ನ ನೀವು separate out the roots and write. So separate out, ನೀವು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಸಿಲ್ ಆದರೂ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಮೈನಸ್ ಬಿ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಆರ್ ಮೈನಸ್ b square minus 4ac by 2a. Using that equation also you can find out the root, and then you substitute similar to your partial fraction theory. So first you can take the calculator for this. You can take the calculator and then find out the roots for this one. So if you find out the roots, the root value will be okay. Let me simplify. So we will follow same procedure. We can directly find out, but still with the notes I have given a simplified version. So what we have to do is we have to take z to the power minus 2 as a common. So if I take z to the power minus 2 as common, then what we get in the denominator is z square minus 1.5 z plus 0.5. So this z square will go above, and this will be z square minus 1.5 z plus 0.5. Okay, so here is the answer. Now for this we need to find out first. For this one we need to find out, say z equal to 0.5 and z is equal to 1. These are the two roots we are going to find out using calculator. So that it will become a sum term. Okay, sum term andre so it is 1 divided by z minus 1 z minus 0.5. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಆವಾಗ ನೀವು a divided by z minus 1 plus b divided by z minus 0.5 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ partial fractions apply ಮಾಡಿ individual or the components of the sequence you can find out, separate out the sequence. That's why we need to first find out the roots. So what are the roots you get? So I will directly write, you calculate it through the calc. So the roots you are going to get is z square divided by z minus 1 z minus 0.5 x of z is equal to, this implies x of z by z is equal to this, whatever I'm taking in the denominator of x of z simplifies our calculation. That's why z minus 1 z minus 0.5. Now you know that this can be, the partial fractions can be applied for this, plus b divided by now partial fractions can be applied for this in this way. Okay, so with partial fractions we will get the values of a and b. So let us go to that step. I am assuming that you have understood partial fractions. So using instead of a and b I am using here a1 and a2. After solving for a1 I will get 2. After solving for a2 I will get minus 1. Substituting these values, x of z by z is 2 divided by z minus 1 minus 1 divided by z minus 0.5. So the answer what we are going to get after solving, after partial fractions used to solve the above equation, what we get is x of z by z is equal to a equal to 1, b equal to minus 2. Sorry, a equal to 2, b is equal to minus 1. To b equal to minus 1. So using this we can write 2 divided by z minus 1 minus 1 divided by z minus 0.5. Okay, now what is x of z? X of z is 2 into z divided by z minus 1 minus z divided by z minus 0.5. So this is the standard form. For this we can find out the x of n. So every given x of z you need to first convert it into this form. Andre there should be numerator and denominator, that is in the form of zeros and poles, and here it should be minus. There should not be any multiplication factors. Okay, now how to find out z inverse? For that, write that we know that z divided by z minus 1 inverse z transform is u of n. Okay, so let me not write this one because we need to consider ROC now. So above equation is in the standard form, and now we can apply inverse Z transform based on ROC given. Remember this, based on ROC given. Now we will look into three cases of ROC is given. First one, Z is greater than 1. Case 1, ROC magnitude of Z is greater than 1. That means Z is greater than 1. This implies Z is also greater than 0.5. Correct alva? 1 ಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ Z ಅಂದ್ರೆ obviously it is greater than 0.5 also. ಯಾಕೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ Z equal to Z minus 1 ಇದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ Z minus 0.5 ಇದೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ both are right sided sequence. ನಾವು ಎರಡು ರೈಟ್ ಸೈಡೆಡ್ ಸೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ರೈಟ್ ಸೈಡೆಡ್ ಸೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಯು ಆಫ್ ಎನ್ ಇಕ್ವೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು, ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರನೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ನಾವು ಆರ್ ಒ ಸಿ ಝೆಡ್ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ದೆನ್ 1 ಅಂತ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎರಡು ಯು ಆಫ್ ಎನ್ ಸೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಸ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಸೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಝೆಡ್ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ದೆನ್ 1? ಈ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಸೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಸೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಆರ್, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ವಿ ನೋ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ Z divided by Z minus 1, its inverse Z transform IZ3. Inverse Z transform is U of n. Okay. That's why, therefore, 2 into Z divided by Z minus 1 will give us inverse Z transform as 2 into U of n for this ROC only, Z greater than 1. Z greater than 1. This is for first term. For second term, Z divided by Z minus 0.5. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ inverse Z transform ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? 0.5 to the power n. Here actually I forgot to mention, that is we need to write it as one power n u of n. Because of this is 2 into 1 power n u of n. 1 power n ಯಾವ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ 0 ಇಂದ ಇನ್ಫಿನಿಟಿ ಯಾವ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು 1 ಇರುತ್ತೆ. That's why I had removed. So this is the actual process. Okay, now here we have 0.5, so it is 0.5 to the power n u of n. Okay, so combining both, what we have, x of z is equal to 2 divided by z minus 1 minus minus 1 divided by z minus 0.5. For this sequence, 2z divided by z minus 1 minus z divided by z minus 0.5. For this particular sequence, what we are going to get is inverse Z transform is 2 into 1 to the power n u of n minus 0.5 into 0.5 to the power n u of n for the ROC Z greater than 1. Okay, so let us look at the answer. Yes, it's correct. 2 into 1 to the power n u of n minus 0.5 to the power n u of n. You can take u of n as common and you can rewrite the equation. That's it. or if you write as it is also, it is fine. Okay, now if we want to plot the ROC, if you want to plot the ROC for the given sequence, what are the roots of Z? Roots of Z are 0.5 and 1, and ROC is greater than 1. That is what we have chosen, right? ROC is greater than 1. Based on this only, we have got both sequences multiplied with U of n. Is that clear? In the next part, you can see here Z is less than 0.5. Z is less than 0.5. Z is less than 0.5 means both poles 0.5 and 1 are outside the ROC. That means instead of U of n, we are going to write minus 1 into U of minus n minus 1. Here also minus sign, this minus sign remains, and but here we'll get a minus sign, 0.5 to the power n U of minus n minus 1, because ROC is lesser than 0.5 means obviously it is lesser than 1 also. This is for the second sequence. So both are non-causal. Left sided sequence ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ non-causal. Right sided sequence is always causal. So this is the answer. And this is simplified. U of minus n minus 1 ಹೊರಗಡೆ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಇದು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Okay. If both one is greater than 0.5 and less than 1, one will be causal, another will be non-causal. This concept I will explain in tomorrow's class also. No need to worry about this. If you understand this problem, you can solve any inverse Laplace transform problems. Okay. So as of now, I will stop it here. We will continue this problem tomorrow. If you have any doubt regarding any of the problems, you can ask.